So now the fun part starts. Now, this is good. So the first question I'd like to ask you all is pretty a simple one. So what we have is 2 Republicans, 1 Democrat. Tiger Bay is a nonpartisan club, so you're going to have the primary on August 18th. Is that correct? Yeah. So you're going to have to pick a Republican, and Ryan, you're in. You're the only qualified Democrat. So you'll have that choice in November, so this is a good time to do that. So the biggest softball question, not even a question, please take a moment. Where's Justin? Justin's my, it's gonna help me be the nasty timer, but there's only 3 of us. Last meeting we had was the school board. What do we have, 7, 8? Yeah, we needed a timer, because we could go, but you'll have plenty of time to answer the questions, but if you do start rambling, you're gonna get the dirty look from Justin. So, Neil, I'll start with you. Just kind of introduce yourself to the group.
Hello, thank you for coming out today. My name is Ryan Neal. I'm born and raised in Sarasota. I've lived down in Northport. I've worked in Venice. I've worked for Publix for 30 plus years. I'm running for District 74. I'm tired of the games that Tallahassee's been playing and feel like change needs to come to Tallahassee.
Nick?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out. If you don't come out to become an informed voter, then it doesn't do us any good, so thank you for doing that. Nick Pashota, been in Venice, Sarasota County since 1987. Family business here in town. We have Sharky's Fins, and then up in Sarasota we've got a couple places, Siesta Beach Eats and the Nesta Bay Park. That is my full-time job. My part-time job, and I say that with air quotes, is I'm the mayor of Venice, been elected since 2019, and I've enjoyed every little bit of that, that I've had the pleasure of serving this community. My background is 25 years in public safety, police, fire, and EMS. Went up to Orlando, met my lovely wife in Brevard County, and brought our kids back here to raise them in Paradise. And when I came back, I got back into the restaurant business, spent about 6 years relearning the business. And the piece that I've delved off into is the workforce housing component. It's a critical need in our industry and a lot of other industries. So it's been kind of multifaceted in what I've been doing, and I've got a lot of diversity that's really going to help me when I get up to Tallahassee. So again, thank you all for being here, and I look forward to the rest of the questions.
Thank you. Hi guys, I'm Jennifer Winkler, running for State House Representative. I'm a business owner. I own the People's Insurance Agency. They say when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, and I absolutely love what I do. I opened my business from scratch 12 years ago. In 12 short years, I insure over 6,500 families. I have 3 locations and 21 full-time employees. I know what it's like to sign the front of a paycheck. I've been very, very active going to Tallahassee every year, very active with legislative reform, and some great things have happened. Not a politician, have never run for office other than my HOA, but not a politician and never had any desires to run for office. However, we've had some positive legislative reform that have helped our insurance rates come down a little bit. There's still more opportunity, but what really scared me is I represent insurance companies, but clients come to me directly to buy or not buy because they can't afford it. And my clients, who I just absolutely love and I'm very attached to, get very upset, and I hear when rates are too high and they're getting canceled, and it's been very, very, very hard to be an insurance agent over the last 5 years. And I also learned that there's only one insurance agent out of 120 representatives in the House, and that scared me. And rather than just showing empathy and sympathy to my clients and apologizing, I'm sorry the rates are so high, I decided to step up and do something about it. And I want to get in the House and make insurance better, because we've got to be able to afford it. Selfishly, I have a 19-year-old and a 21-year-old. I'm a single mom. They're both still at home, and I don't think they're going to be able to leave anytime soon unless we make it more affordable for for people to live here in Sarasota. It is my forever home. I absolutely love it, and I want to do everything I can to make it the best that it can be, because it is amazing. A little bit about me: I live in Mayaca Valley Ranches, east of 75 off of Clark Road. I'm on 17 acres. It is my forever home. I have 10 dogs. Absolutely love it. They run and play all day, do belly flops in the pond. They just love it. We have goats, and it's just a great place to raise a family, and I'm gonna work very hard so we can afford to continue to live here in Sarasota. So thank you, Jennifer
Thanks.
Winkler.
So Justin, it helps if I give you a time frame to say when to stop. So let me do that this time. Maybe pass it to Nick. And y'all kind of started this, so let me give you a little more time. So let me give each a minute. And there came a point, I don't know, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago, where you looked in the mirror and said, I want to do this. I'm going to do this. So beyond who you are, what is it? Why, Jennifer, you were getting into it about you personally, so a little more time to do that. Why are you doing this? Why do you want to do this? So let's hear that.
So for me, I mean, I thrive off of serving the community. I've done it for 25 years, and one of the most touching things as a paramedic is when you have to advocate for people when they can't advocate for themselves. That's exactly what politics is to me, is that there's a lot of folks that don't even understand how government works, and getting in there, understanding it, tearing it apart, rebuilding it, that's what I've done over the past 7 years, and it's been an incredible opportunity. I've worked with some colleagues from both sides of the spectrum. We've had to come together on some things, and we've done some fantastic stuff. I mean, we've reformed taxes, we've done voter reform, we have term limits now in the city that make sense. We've done so many wonderful things for infrastructure and public safety that, I grew up in a town of zero crime, and I'm proud to continue to live in a town that is safe and that people still want to move to. So that's what I'm taking in Tallahassee, is I want to continue to carry that sword and fight for people when they can't or don't know how.
The reason why I'm running, because Sarasota is unaffordable for working class families. In order to survive in Sarasota, you have to be making $24 an hour, and starting pays don't match up with the reality of the rent for an apartment or mortgages for a house. The other reason, after the hurricanes, I saw that all the flooding in places that never had flooded before. And it's due to all the out-of-control growth that's been going on in this state, that we have to get growth under control. We have to bring back the Florida Growth Management Plan, which was done away with in 2011 in order to stimulate growth at the time, because after the Great Recession. But we need to get more control of growth in the state of Florida. We also need to bring back do away with the rescind the Live Local Act, which takes away county and city officials' ability to regulate what can be here. Thank you.
Good. So, Jim. And you brought that up, live local, don't worry, it'll come back. So we can get into that. Jennifer.
Great. Great question. So again, I never had any plans to be a politician, and when I decided to do this, my dad, who loves me the most, it was very hard on me, like, Jen, why are you doing this? You have this very successful business, you put your political views out there, that you wear a red shirt, people who wear a blue shirt might not want to do business with you. And I was like, Dad, I have to do this. Insurance companies can rate for hurricanes, they can't rate for insurance fraud and some of the other things that were going on that caused many of our insurance companies to leave Florida. And I'll give you an example. There's a mobile home park in Venice, about 140 homes. Over half of them have no insurance at all. And what happens after a hurricane? Where do all the news reporters go? They go to the mobile home parks. And you have all of these people that are retired and they're on fixed incomes. And at this point, they have no insurance to replace it. They're not going back to work. So I just felt I needed to step up. I needed to get into the house and make insurance better and more affordable, because again, I get attached to my clients and I want to take care of things.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hang on to that, we'll come down this way. I'm trying to make it so everyone's starting the same first time. So these kind of build on each other. Okay, so you said why, who you are, why you're running. Now, a lot of people that run for public office, they're nice people, and they have a vision, but they have zero experience, and even in politics or even in life sometimes. So talk to us a little bit about your experiences in your life that helps qualify you to hold this position.
I love that question. Can I get more than 60 seconds?
You want to do 2 minutes? Yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate it. I I think one of my, so I grew up on the east coast of Florida. I went to school at UCF, got a bachelor's in marketing, and then moved over to the west coast. I've been in insurance my whole professional career and in college. Prior to opening my agency 12 years ago, I worked for large insurance corporations. Progressive Insurance is one you might have heard of, for 9 years. And the neat thing with these insurance companies, they've got a lot of money and they've invested a lot of money in me in professional sales training. I'm a salesperson at heart. I get along great with a lot of people. I'm excited to get into the house because while yes, we can all see color, I get along well with others. I'm great at conflict resolution. I'm great at closing deals. I'm great at finding solutions. So for me, you know, a lot of people in the house, they can only see red and they can only play on the red team. They only see blue, they can only see on the blue team. I work great with everybody. So I'm excited to be able to get things done in Tallahassee and work with the whole team, all of the representatives to get things done. One of my things, paralysis by overanalysis, is I can't stand that. I'm a very, I don't like to waste time and I like to get things done. I don't like to waste time at all. So I was also the president of my HOA, which honestly, I think if you can do that, you can do anything. When I moved into my community, 320 homes, it was very dysfunctional, lots of drama, and you have a lot of people that can be upset, but they're afraid to go face to face. And what I did actually with my good friend Frank, we worked together and lots of dysfunction, and we went household by household, just squashing the conflict and bringing neighbors together. And a lot of times it's a lot easier to do when you're face to face, eye to eye, let's talk about the issues. And we did that. Now I have one of, in my opinion, the most amazing community in Sarasota County. So thank you. It's a little bit, I might need a few more minutes next time, but I hope I gave you a quick summary.
For me, I mean, there's a lot to unpack, and I would say, 2004 was the first hurricane I responded to. It was Charlie back here in my hometown, and it was pretty devastating. And since then, I'm kind of made it my mission to just work for people every single day. So we've got 375 employees. I've seen people when they are beyond paycheck to paycheck, they're coming for pay advances and they can't make ends meet. We've come up with neat programs in our own industry to try to help people do that. So we have Sharkey Savings, which allows people to put money aside during season when they make the most money so that they have something to provide their kids gifts every Christmas. And those are little things that you could very easily just give the pay advance and enable people, or you could give people a reason to actually learn how to do this right and make sure that they save money and take care of their families. Other things we've done, workforce housing. We provide housing for our employees so that they can get their feet underneath them and actually go buy a house. There's a lot of those different things that have taught me a lot in life, but being a paramedic, I mean, you see people at their worst. You see people, a lot of us, we don't even know that we could leave this building today and it could be our last, or we could be severely injured. So having somebody that's actually dealt with that day in and day out, that's the kind of stuff that I'm going to bring to Tallahassee with me. There's more to it. Family, I've got a great family. I've got 2 amazing daughters, 3 amazing grandchildren, and that's really what my new mission in life is I want to make sure that the community that I got to live in, and all of you guys that are in here that I love so much, that they get that same opportunity, that they get a wonderful paradise to live in just the same. And we're going to do that through infrastructure projects, water quality, all of these things that we have to plan for, not just tomorrow, but for 50 years from now. That's the kind of stuff that I'm looking towards. That's the kind of stuff that I'm taking to Tallahassee. I've torn apart city budgets. I'm ready to tear apart this Tallahassee budget. I've saved the citizens money. When I came into city council, 0.66 mil was going to the county for EMS transports. Since I've been in office, we've reduced it by 0.81 mil. So there's a lot of experience, and I'm excited to bring that up there.
Customer service experience, mainly for 30 years of working at Publix and learning how to please customers and people. My father worked for Sarasota County Area Transit, now Breeze. He was a mechanic. He worked on the buses. Pretty much just trying to make sure that the next generation has affordable living, and being able to live in Florida, not have to leave Florida when they go for college and never come back. I mean, that's the only reason, really.
Okay, thanks. Hand this one to Nick, and Nick, I'll let you start. We kind of brought some of these up, and so now we know who you are, why you're doing it, why you think you're qualified to hold this position. So if you win, give us your top 3 priorities. What are you going to do to work on immediately? What are your top 3 priorities?
I think the easiest target is taxes. I mean, we see this coming on the ballot. We don't know which way this is going to go, and one way or another, somebody's got to be up there to make sure that if this goes in the positive, that people, want to do away with taxes, somebody's got to carry that forward. There's no implementation bill set up, so that's going to have to happen, and we're going to have to make sure that this happens responsibly. If this doesn't work out, it's not the end of the road. I think that tax reform is still 100% necessary. I think that it would be nice to see a comprehensive approach to it and make sure that we're not just shifting taxes to businesses and renters and other areas. So I think that there's a lot of opportunity with taxes to really hit home and put money back into people's pocket. And that's the kind of stuff that we've done at the city. There's been a lot of, over the years, the city staff telling us, hey, I don't think we can do that, I don't think we did, and we've done it, and we've done it successfully, and we've done a good job of it. So I think that, that's my number 1. Working on insurance, that's probably the number 2 as far as what costs people the most money and where we can put money back in people's pockets. It needs to be a consumer-based approach. Enough of the insurance companies, trial attorneys, it really needs to be focused on us, the people, and make sure that we're getting the money that we deserve back in our pockets. And then the other thing is infrastructure. I've worked for 7 years with Buchanan, McFarland, the whole delegation to try to make sure that this city gets the appropriations that it deserves. And we've worked on regional projects, not just for Venice, but for the whole area to make sure that we do redundancy lines with water mains. We're doing a lot of great things as far as the emergency operations center at the new fire station. The project we're working on with the jetty with Congressman Stubbe. There's a lot of things like that, and building that camaraderie and that team with everybody to make sure that we're bringing back the most to our community is really going to be the forefront of everything that I do.
Go that way, then we'll.
Okay, thank you. So you're probably not surprised, insurance is the number 1 thing. I've actually already reached out to incoming Sam Garrison, and asked him, I said, I'd really like to be on the Insurance and Banking Committee. I may chair it, maybe not as a freshman, but my goals are to really get involved in insurance, the property insurance side, and also the health insurance side. Our Medicare and our Medicaid is a mess. It's very expensive, it's unaffordable, and there's silly things in there. A female's annual exam is not covered by Medicare. Are we waiting until we have a bigger problem and it's more expensive? You have people that are on Medicaid that use the ER if they have a cough. So there's a lot of things that need to be fixed, but so you're probably not surprised, insurance is my number 1 thing. Property taxes, huge. I'm a big fan of reducing or eliminating our property taxes. And then we have to address our infrastructure. I want to go to Tallahassee and bring back a ton of money. I get it. We were the number 1 growth county in the nation 2 years ago. I don't blame people for wanting to come here. It's amazing and beautiful, but we grew faster than we were ready for, and we need to fix our roads. I have 2 locations on the west coast of Florida, one in Sarasota and one in Bradenton. It's now an hour commute to go from Sarasota Bee Ridge and Lorraine Road to Bradenton 41 and Cortez. That's just awful. We've got to fix that. It's very hard. It's hard to attract staff to my agencies because one, they have to, it's a 30, 40-minute commute for them to get to work. So our infrastructure, we need to develop our roadways and, catch up to our amazing growth that we've had. So, thank you.
Growth is the main issue because we're outpacing the county's ability to maintain roads for the new communities that are being built. The infrastructure is also another issue. We need better funding for flood mitigation and control. So the next time we get a hurricane through, we aren't getting communities flooded out. And insurance reform is a major issue for homeowners insurance especially.
Okay. So let me ask you this one.
Use the mic.
Makes the noise. So a little twist on kind of those, your big 3. But this might be easier looking from the Democratic Party because the state of Florida is right now totally controlled and supermajority of Republicans. But this is important for a Republican question as well. What is there a policy position that you have that you want to support that may not be popular with your party? You've been out there, you've been campaigning, or not necessarily maybe your party, but with the Republicans, if you want to go that way, and keep Republican, Democrat out of it. But is there a policy that you believe in your heart that's right for our community that may not necessarily be popular with Tallahassee?
Well, where to start? Really, we have to give teachers better pay. I mean, Florida ranks 50th in teacher pay out of the whole entire country. And if our teachers aren't being paid, they're not going to be motivated to teach our children. And our children are the future. Without them, there is no future. They have to feel like that, be motivated to and be excited about what they're learning. And right now, it's not there. And possibly do away with a lot of the culture war nonsense that's going on and focus more on just the people and just education and pretty much it.
I can't think of one thing that I'm gonna go up there and do that would be opposed by the conservative viewpoint. Sorry, Charles, I don't have
That's
anything.
okay. That's fair. If you don't have one that's something, I'll ask you a question or two and you take a position that might not be in support of what the governor wants, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think the same thing. I think I'm pretty aligned with my party and
All
their
right.
issues.
Well, let me jump to that then. We'll get to a specific question. Obviously, if not, Ed's gonna yell at me if I don't use this. So, let's talk about a specific policy. So, most people here, obviously you live here, and as a county commissioner or a city council person, growth. People complaining about growth. And it seems that a lot of the power of local government to deal with that and address that has been taken away by Tallahassee. And we've been limited. So when someone comes in for a rezone and there's 100 people in the audience telling us to vote no, the law says we can't. So right now with growth management, live local, those different types of things, what's your position on that? Because you're leaving, especially Nick, you're leaving local government, hoping to go to Tallahassee. Let's talk about those. Where do you stand on those? Who started last time? Nick, okay.
So it is a unique place to be in, having done this for a little while now and understanding what I understand. I mean, 90% of what we're doing on city council is land use decisions. I'm 100% in favor of, property rights. And I think that it was a Hail Mary pass to do live local, and I'm not a big fan. I think that it's one of those things where the government closest to the people is always the best, and the erosions that we're seeing is actually something that I would fight against. I would be, a big advocate in Tallahassee to make sure that we keep the closest government to the people, the one that makes the decisions closest to the people. I just, I look at a lot of these things, and I think we as a city may have something coming soon, and I know the county's been dealing with it, where you just have to go through an administrative process now to approve something that's gonna happen in your backyard, and that makes absolutely no sense. All the time and energy that's been put into comprehensive plans and future land use maps, and all of the developers that I know that are actually following the rules, we just did a comprehensive review of our land development regulations, and we tweaked them and we made them much better. Things make a lot more sense. There's some improvements we wanna make too. SB 180 is another issue that we have to address. There needs to be some fixes to that just the same. So I think, those, I guess, when you look at it, those might not be popular in Tallahassee, so to speak. I'm not sure that it would say, I still think they're very conservative in my viewpoint, but just, I think that the erosion of home rule is an issue, and as a home rule hero for the past 4 years from FLC, I think I've demonstrated that that's gonna be, something that I'm gonna go up there and try to work towards through collaboration. You know, it's not one of those where I'm gonna go up there and just start punching people in the face and saying this is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna work together with people and make sure that through a collaborative effort, we're gonna fix this and make sure people understand. I mean, there's a lot of folks that haven't done local government. They don't understand what's going on down here. And we're gonna do that through education, make sure that they can see it from our viewpoint.
So I strongly feel that live local and how we develop is done on a local basis. Let's face it, Florida one size doesn't fit all. If you look at Florida, you could break it up into like 5 different countries, right? We're very different. South Florida is very different than Orlando, that's very different than Southwest Florida, that's different than Jacksonville and Tallahassee. So what might be good in Tallahassee may not be good for us in Sarasota. And I think that home rule needs to be a priority because, for example, 70% of our income is from tourism. Well, if you look at some place like in the center of the state, like Arcadia, that's not the same. It may be more agriculture. So because we are so different, we have these different zones in the state, we can't just have one size fits all. We really have to bring it back to local and let our local governments decide and have a play in what happens in our local towns. I feel very strongly about that. Thank you.
I too feel that home rule is extremely important. Live Local gave too much control and too much power to land developers to just run roughshod over the county commissioners and planning boards and city commissions. So yes.
Okay. All right, one more for me, then we'll let the lions and tigers loose. Tigers, I guess, for Tiger Day, not lions. So let me do this. One that's right in front and center of everybody, and we haven't said it yet, but we've kind of touched around it, is the new potential constitutional amendment and about dealing way the local government pays for a lot of its services. So that's going to be, unless Florida Supreme Court stops it or makes them reword it, I think the reworded will still be on it. Changing the way ad valorem property taxes is done. So most of our, for people, most people here know this, but that's what funds your general fund for the county and the city. That's your libraries and a lot of your parks, and so there's been some exceptions for police and fire. But talk about that. Where would you stand if you were in Tallahassee 2 months ago and the governor said to you, "You're going to vote yes for this to put this on the ballot"? Let me know where you stand on that one. I guess go down to Jim.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Awesome. I stand behind Governor DeSantis 100%. I think he is absolutely right on with reducing or eliminating property taxes, and I'll tell you why. Less than 30% of the properties are homesteaded. Less than 30%. So the homes that are in the name of a corporation, a partnership, an LLC, it's a secondary home, it's a rental, those homes would not qualify. So we're talking about less than 30% of homesteaded properties. The other thing that we've had is we've had this huge boom, this huge surge in property values. I look at, in my own neighborhood, a house that would have sold for $300,000 5 years ago is selling for $1 million today. So what happens is I sold the home that I bought for $300,000 and just say my tax base for easy numbers is $5,000. Nick buys it for $1 million, and now that tax base has gotten so much bigger. We have a surplus of income coming in because of the increase in property values. It's huge. So I think one is there's a lot of waste, and we need to look at that. We absolutely, and I think I do not want to defund our police. I do not want to defund our education. I want to make sure we have our trash pickups. But I think there's a huge opportunity to look at our budgets and look at, okay, the 30% that are homesteaded, this is their tax base, the increase in property values, removing the waste that's out there. I think there's a huge opportunity. Do I have all the answers and the solutions? No, but I absolutely want a seat at the table and help figure it out. Thank you.
I'm absolutely against it. It basically hollows out the budgets for the counties and the cities. It basically, you end up with nothing. You won't have a police department. You won't have a fire department. You won't have public services anymore And on top of that, the counties will just go back and tack on ticky-tack fees for everything. I think probably what they should have done was raise the exemption up to something a little bit more reasonable to cover what houses are being sold and bought for now. But the whole doing away with property taxes basically destroys your county governments.
So it's interesting, I learned something funny the other day. So the city of Venice, if we went to our rollback rate, we would actually have to raise taxes. And I'm very proud of that because we've done so good being so fiscally conservative that we would actually have to raise our taxes to get to the rollback rate. I think that just cracks me up. The bad actors across the state are why we're in the situation we're in, and I think that's the disadvantage. We were talking about this when we talked about development, that one size doesn't fit all. And so because folks down in Broward County or Miami-Dade County have 10 assistants for a commissioner, I think that's why they're spending so much money, whereas I don't have an assistant. I answer all my own emails, I answer all my own phone calls. I mean, I volunteered to do this, and I'm doing this. So I think that's the big difference is, from Tallahassee, we just need to look at this and make sure that we're taking care of the good actors and implementing legislation that makes sense to take care of the bad actors. So I'm 100%, I've worked with the governor, I've had the pleasure of standing side by side with him, and I love the concept of where we're headed. I just think that we need to put a lot more time and energy into it and make sure that we do it smartly. And that's really the same thing with growth. Anything that we do, we really need to put our noggin together and say, hey, we're gonna be smart about what we do, not just pencil whip something through and try to do it before we're running out the door. So again, big fan of our governor, big fan of tax reform. I just wanna make sure that we do it smartly, and when I go up to Tallahassee, I'm gonna make sure I apply what I've learned to make sure that we're doing things that aren't gonna impact renters and our elderly population. I mean, just, I talk to people all the time that are getting pushed further and further out of the city, and I wanna make sure that we're focused on them. They're the ones that put us in office, and that's who we work for.
Thanks. So let me do this. Tiger Bay members, I think you got a good broad covering of a lot of things, who these people are, what they stand for. So what specific questions do you have? Somebody, there we go. Okay. Right.
Question for Jennifer. If you do away with property taxes as presently before voters, how are you going to pay for infrastructure improvements, water, sewer, not to mention police, fire, for these new developments? Because you're having enough trouble now doing it with development as is. Where's that going to come from?
Okay, so again, the property taxes would be for current homeowners that are exempt, okay, which is less than 30%. The amount of home transfers, right, that have transferred, like from, in the last 5 years is greater than 30%. Our tax base is so much greater today than what it was just a couple of years ago. I honestly think it's going to be a wash and we'll still have money left over. When you have new developments coming in, the new developments, they need to incorporate that into if the builder needs to eat those costs. If they're creating a new development, they need to make sure they create the infrastructure there. That shouldn't be a tax burden to the people who already live here. Did that answer your question?
Well, yeah, but doesn't the current bill build in, if you live here 5 years, you then become qualified for homestead on a graduated scale?
Yeah, talk about it going up over time.
Right. I don't know 100%. I want to have a seat at the table because I don't have the solution. I don't think what we have today is perfect. But what I'm saying is I am in favor of greatly reducing it or eliminating it. People much smarter than me in Tallahassee, like Governor DeSantis and our CFO, Blaise Ngolia, they have looked at the budget, they've looked at the numbers, they've looked at the increase and the expected increase in property taxes to come just because of the home values. It was also shocking to me that we're talking about less than 30% of the households in Florida. There are so many people here, it's their secondary home, it's a rental property, that it wouldn't even impact them. They would still be paying that regular tax base. at the increased levels because of the property sales.
Okay. Interesting, maybe we can talk about this a little bit more, but the idea, Mike, is like that, the developers pay full impact fees? Okay, I figured that would bring something from you to help cover those costs, because as you know, most people do not feel that development pays for itself, and that's an unfair burden on the rest of us. See, I'm not asking you what question.
I know I'm here with friends, so I can speak to this. I don't really want to get into what the developers do, but to answer your question, they do all the infrastructure, and they donate it to the city, all water and sewer, all the pavement and all that, and they pay exceptional impact fees, but that's not what I was
As
going to
I
ask.
thought they did, I thought they did.
Yes, ma'am, they do. But what I wanted to bring clarity to, because I'm confused, on this new tax ad valorem program, I thought they weren't doing away with it, they were just raising the exemptions. And there's a limit to it. So it's not total thrown in a trash can. You're still gonna pay taxes if you're a homestead, and it just goes up. Please correct that, someone here that may know better.
I think a lot of the information about this hasn't gotten out yet, so maybe discuss it about a little bit more. I know you all said where your position is on it, but if does any of you want to discuss a little bit more about this? Yeah, sure.
My understanding of the exemption, it would raise up every 5 years to the point where you no longer have to pay taxes on it. That was how the bill was originally written, and that's what came out, as far as I know.
But that's not what's on the ballot.
It's not on, so they've changed it then. Because originally, it was going to be a phased, they were going to raise it up, and then in another 5 years, raise it up again.
150 now, it goes to 250.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're one.
All right, so my information was wrong then, so, yeah.
So from Tiger Bay members, I think, Ed, that might be a good, if we get a nice summary of what the rule, not necessarily today, but we can email out what it is.
Something to zero in on is the amendment ballot that we vote on in November is like 2 sentences, 3 sentences, very, very shallow vote, yes or no. What's the legislator's gonna have to deal with next year, no matter who gets elected, they have to implement that. So the implementation is fire excluded, is police excluded, are there gonna be user fees? So when you drill down to this amendment ballot, the implementation has not even been discussed yet in Tallahassee, and what legislative board is gonna be analyzing that. There is a Tallahassee-based financial, they brought it up here.
You're gonna love what I'm gonna say. Do you have a question?
Well, that's what I guess that was the question, Charles, you're right. Is if they do get elected, no matter which 3 of them is up there, how would you see implementing the ballot initiative? If it does pass, and right now polls show, surprisingly, that it will pass. So if it does pass, how would you see yourselves implement that?
Great question. There we go.
Probably have to raise prices on part-time residents who come in, because 4 million houses in the state of Florida are owned by part-time residents who are only here a couple months out of the year as vacation homes or rentals. So you have to probably raise the property
They're already capped at 5%. The legislation's gonna cap that at 5%.
for now, probably. Really, I don't see any way out of that, then it's gonna be difficult.
I mean, do you have another idea or thoughts on how to address local government and the issues of providing services with this whole change in the scheme on how we raise funding?
Probably have to exempt fire and police services. I know school was already exempt from it as well. It's gonna be tough. I mean, you have to dig deep into it to figure out what needs to be done.
So kind of like I said before, I mean, that there's 2 ways this is gonna go, and the one thing that I was really looking forward to is that either we're gonna do comprehensive tax reform if this doesn't pass, or when I get up there, I'm gonna get to do, the deep and dirty on the passing of the legislation and the implementation of it. So that's the piece, like even us as a city right now, we're still tearing apart the budget, trying to figure out exactly how this is gonna impact us. And I think that we're gonna have to be very smart, but it's definitely not a one-size-fits-all kind of approach. We still talk about these counties that have a far different demographic and a far different income than we have. So I think that there's still a lot of analysis that needs to be done, and it's going to take us some time to figure out exactly how to do it. That's the piece I'm excited for, is that, I mean, I've been working through trying to reduce a budget for 7 years, and I've gotten it down 0.81 mil. I mean, that's not an easy thing to do, and we fight each other all the time as we're doing it. And we fight with our staff about, you're taking away police officers, you're taking away firefighters. We've done a great job in this city of making sure that we're still very safe and very well taken care of. So that's the piece that I'm trying to say, is that I don't think anybody's gonna have the answer. And if they say they do, I'd be very surprised. But I'm looking forward to the opportunity to work on it and make sure that we carry it out the way that the voters want us to do it. And that's the whole point of November. It's so that the voters get to make that choice, not any politician.
Yeah, I gotta say, Nick, that was really well said. We don't have all of the solutions. Want to have a seat at the table, and I can tell you, I would never defund our schools or our police or our fire. I like this quality of services that we have to offer in finding those best solutions. But I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised, as you know, Blazing Golia has shared, the surplus of monies that will be coming into each of our budgets just because of how many homes have exchanged hands and the increase in property value. So I would not do anything in favor of defunding police or fire or schools. In fact, I think our schools need more support. So, but I'm excited to have a seat at the table to help find the best solution for us.
Okay, next.
Hi, our Sarasota County Fire Chief has calculated that in emergency medical services, EMS, which is funded through the general fund, supported by ad valorem taxes, will take a hit of $11.5 million if the measure passes. When you become state representative, what would you do about that, and how would you do it?
Great question. Again, it's working through the numbers. I'm very, very good with numbers. I own my own business. I'd be great with numbers, or I wouldn't be as successful. So again, it's putting together the budget. How much money do we have coming in, and how much money needs to go out, and finding a way to do that.
I'll just say, I think that maybe we need to take a closer look at that budget. I mean, we took over EMS when I came into office, and everybody in this town was concerned about where we were going to go, and people were excited about it, but there were a lot of people that were not excited about it. It was a campaign issue that year, and here we are. Now fast forward to 2026, and I'm looking back at my 7 years on city council, and we have reduced the mill 0.81, and EMS cost us to the county. We were paying 0.66, then it switched over to the city, and now we're less than that. So again, I think that there's an analysis that needs to be done, and I've talked to our police and fire chief with our city manager, and I've been very clear with them that maybe we need to start working together and making sure that the services that we're providing, if there's any overlap, that we're doing it smartly. And I think that's the moral of the story here, is that people need to be working very efficiently with their budgets, and those that aren't motivated to do it will be motivated after this is said and done. And if not, then again, there's still need for the bottom line is that taxpayers are hemorrhaging cash, whether it's through insurance taxes, both, and there's a lot of people that can't afford to live anymore because of that. And that's what we need to find the solution for. So, again, it might be looking closer at some of these budgets and making sure that we're doing things smartly, and if there's services we can share with other municipalities, maybe that's how we save $11 million. I haven't looked at Sarasota County's budget, but I've definitely looked at ours, and I'm very proud of what we've done.
My question is our state representative, what will you do about it?
I think you all have answered it, and it's that, we're gotta look at it, because we don't know what's passed. How are you gonna solve that particular one about 11 million? Writing that legislation, you're gonna have to keep that in mind.
My simple answer, though, would be I'd go sit with the county fire chief and look at his budget and try to understand where the deficit is. I mean, that's my answer to it, is if that's what it took, that's what I would do. But I think that there's gonna be some room for discussion on a lot of those things.
Okay.
It's going to be a lot of people losing their jobs. The only way I can see out of it is like putting taxes on alcohol and tobacco and gasoline tax, paying taxes on all that, just to try and offset the loss in funding for from the general fund.
And I heard someone out here saying, and that's what a lot of people are discussing. I was just at Florida Association of Counties meeting this week in Orlando. And is it going to be just a shift and you start raising sales tax, fees, all of this? Because you hear from Tallahassee, Doge, waste, all this stuff. And there's always things we can do better on, but I don't know that there's that much waste, but we'll see. Let me give you guys a softball one before we go back to the mean ones. Those aren't mean. I don't think anyone's been mean here today. But any large project that's done locally usually takes bringing together money from multiple sources. So if you take, let's say in the city, you get county money sometimes, and a lot of times you go get Tallahassee and ask for an appropriation to help fund something. You can exclude the Florida Gulf Coast Trail and what I'm working on as your answer, but if you go to Tallahassee, give me one local project that you're excited about that you will fight for an appropriation for your first year up there.
I would probably put more funding towards mass transit. I mean, it would help offset the traffic that we currently have now, either through light rail, high-speed rail, or more funding for Breeze. That would be my main passion right there.
Good.
So I've got two. My first would be, I'd really like to see us, through the vocational process, putting out a hireable candidate. So I currently teach EMTs at night at the hospital, and the pass rates are fantastic. Our numbers are incredible. I love seeing the 96% pass rates. But the people that are coming out to the field to work, whether it's hospitality, HVAC, whatever industry it is, I want to make sure that we're putting out a hireable product. So we're not just putting these kids through a program and then they're all sitting there waiting for a job, that they can actually get hired. And I think that's something that in this state, we've done a lot of great things over the past years. I mean, we've done a phenomenal job, but I think that we need to kind of shift gears a little bit and start focusing back on the workforce and job creation and making sure that all the people that have moved here, that they have people to provide the services that they need. And I think that's something that's going to be huge over the next few years. The other thing is of course, as was stated, working on the road infrastructure. I mean, we are so far behind. We've got a lot to catch up on, and there's a lot of work to do there. And public-private partnerships, I think, are going to be the answer to that. I think that the private sector works a lot more efficiently, a lot faster, and a lot more lean. So I think that enabling some of these organizations to kind of take the helm and start to build these roads and get this job done, I think is going to be another aspect that we need to really look at.
The obvious thing that I would champion is infrastructure and improving our roads, but there are a couple of projects that I'm really excited about that I think would be amazing for us. The first one is 70% of our income comes from tourism, and something to benefit that is Sarasota County has a lot to offer. We've got beautiful beaches, we've got the arts, we've got the culture. We don't have any sports. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that. We have our very own Sarasota Paradise professional soccer team. They want to build a stadium, and the stadium would not only help with sporting events, but concerts and other things to bring people here. I think Northport would be a great venue for that, having some type of large sports arena or stadium to help with our tourism. The other thing that Sarasota County does not have, we don't have a children's hospital. When my boys were little, we had to go to Pinellas County to All Children's Hospital, which is an amazing hospital, and it's great. But now with the congestion and our traffic, we need a children's hospital here in Sarasota County. So I think that would be huge and kind of at the top of my list.
Great.
Thank you.
Great. I know Commissioner Stokes from Northport would say, help me build Warm Meadow Springs to make that a tourism mecca for our community. Obviously, we have Wellfield that was transferred recently to Sarasota County, and we turned that into a regional park. There's a lot of things to discuss, and when you guys or one of you get up there, everyone's coming for you for money. And you gotta have to pick and prioritize those. A couple more questions from the crowd? Yes?
I want to ask a simple question.
Simple.
I told you I'm simple. I want to thank the three of you for being here today. But I saw a commercial on television An individual is running for the same seat you're running for. This individual lives in Manatee County. I used to keep up with the districts, but everything has changed. So can anybody run for your seat if they live in Manatee County?
They have to live in the district.
On election.
Charles, why don't you define the district for everybody?
Yeah, well, actually, yeah, you're right. The districts were all redrawn, and this particular district, my understanding, and you can help me with this, more east side of I-75. Yeah, go ahead, Nick, if you can just define it.
It's,
But, yeah.
it is Sarasota County. It is from University Boulevard south to Northport. It's essentially a little part of downtown Sarasota. Then it goes to east of Beneva, then east of Monterey, then east of 75, and kind of comes back out. To apply for this position, you don't actually have to live in the district. You do have to live in the district once you've been elected. I'm very proud to say I have lived in the district for a very long time. I'm not going anywhere, so thank you.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Sometimes there's some interesting folks, and when you say you want to represent us as our local representative, but was it Ed that asked somebody one time, what's your favorite restaurant in Venice? And they couldn't name one. So it's nice that you know. Yeah, several. But,
Night for the commission.
yeah. I was trying to keep it generic. Everyone remember the question. Tracy appreciated that question. It's important you know the local issues. And Nick, I'm surprised you didn't bring up the jetties. In that, that's one that we had report on, and that's something that I know everyone in their heart misses, and it's millions.
You want me to tell you why I didn't bring it up?
Well, I don't know, I'm just saying, I mean, you could have, I just mean, you're gonna be asked, pay for this, right? But the federal's gonna say, where's the local dollars, where's our local help, where's the match? It is federal, but they're not gonna fix they're not gonna put Jetty Jacks back. You know, so my point was they're always gonna put it together, and we always come to the state to help. One more question from the group?
Charles?
Yes, two more?
Yeah, I just want them, just real quick, would you rewind, have them explain what the Live Local Act really is? You bandied around all morning,
Right.
but define the genesis of that, and why it's legislation as it exists today.
Yeah, you guys wanna take a shot at that?
So the Live Local Act, what it did is it was designed, I think the intentions were to bring more affordable housing to our local area. And what it did is it eliminated the need for a builder to say, hey, I want to develop 100 homes on this property. And it eliminated the county's ability to approve it or deny it. Is what
If it included affordable housing.
If it included affordable housing, correct.
Percentage, it didn't have to all be afforded, right? Mike, do you remember what the percentage is? I don't think, but, okay,
Jack?
yeah.
How about, was all of it, wasn't it?
Has to be 100% under it?
40%.
I think it's 40.
Yeah, right, so it was an incentive for developers to build
all
affordable
different
housing.
kinds of incentives, taxes. The main purpose of it was to take what would be public hearing processes and make them administratively approved. So the political aspect, which was causing these projects to be denied, because these are typically infill parcels, which means they're around people that have been living there for 10, 15 plus years. Take that out of the political arena and make it just an administrative approval. But the problem is, like you guys have all said, it's not a one-size-fits-all approach, right? So when the legislature tries to solve something, they can only paint with a broad brush. And that's the disconnect between how local governments are responding to it and how the legislature is responding to the implementation issues at the local level.
So let me do two more, and then I'll let you guys have a minute to close, anything you want to say, and maybe tell everybody how to find you or look up and those types of things. So, yes.
This is like the third or fourth forum I've been in where somebody of a particular party is saying there's plenty of money, we have so much money, that's why we're giving money back. Yet, we have not fully funded our public schools. We're actually, in real dollars, getting about $800 less per student than we did like in 2016. So if you think about the effects of inflation, because just like our houses have gone up, everything else has gone up, I want to know what your philosophy or what you're going to do to help fully fund our public schools and keep our public school teachers from being 50th in the nation in pay?
That's a great question. I think it comes back to making our schools safe and getting some of the woke stuff out of schools. I have a lot of friends that have pulled their children out of the public schools because they don't feel safe. And what happens is when those students leave the public school system, so does the money. And I think it's super important to get the woke out of the schools, make our parents and our children feel safe when they go to school. Sarasota County is ranked number 4th in the district out of the whole state of Florida. Our school system is amazing. Our teachers are great, but we've got to make parents feel comfortable about letting their kids go back to school because our school system is amazing. And I think by doing that, we'll be able to bring kids back in, the monies will follow them, and we'll be able to fund some of those programs.
Ryan, maybe we'll switch it up a little bit.
Right now, the voucher system is what's killing our schools. It's basically open to anybody that wants to send their kid to either private or religious schools. It needs to be put back to at need, where low-income families qualify for it, but not people who make $70,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year. That needs to be fixed because that's how Sarasota County is losing money for the school system is through the voucher system. We also need to increase the pay of our teachers. We also need to increase funding for our schools. And need more innovation for our schools, and that requires funding.
So I'm an educator, and I don't understand what the problem with the free market is. Well, what's wrong with letting people compete to provide the best education? And so I don't understand why this has gotten so political. And I think maybe it's time to axe the politics in schools and get back to what we're supposed to be doing, and that's educating. So I think that's what we need to focus on is, there's a lot coming with this tax reform, and I think that, we're going to see the dollars stay with the schools, but at the same time, I think that if the public school system wants to survive and thrive, they're going to need to compete. They're going to need to make sure that they're providing top-notch education.
Okay, so one more from the crowd? Let's do this. Let's, Justin, give each one a minute. And maybe tell us again why someone, in conclusion, why they should pick you to hold this seat. And then maybe anything else you want us to know, websites, those types of things, where they can get information if they want to know some more or ask some questions. So, Nick, to stay with you, and you go ahead.
Well, first and foremost, great discussion today. A lot of good questions, a lot of very challenging questions. I appreciate that. I think that's one of the most important things that we can do is we all need to get back together and start having those discussions. That's one of the most important things to me with local government is that every meeting that people schedule with me, I take. And that's what you guys have elected me to do. And that's what you're going to elect me to do in Tallahassee is not hide from you, but actually be responsive to you and answer your questions when you call and ask them or help you with your needs. So, again, 25 years in public service, and I'm prepared to continue to represent you, and I'd be honored to have that privilege. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to come here today. I know it was a little long and very valuable and very important, but thank you guys for taking the time to do it. nickpashota.com, P-A-C-H-O-T-A, and I've got business cards if anybody wants them. My cell phone number, you can text and call me and I will answer, as well as my email address nick@nickpashota.com. Ask the tough questions.
Thank you. I'm excited to work in Tallahassee. I'm a very hard worker. I grew up extremely poor. I put myself through college. I started my business from scratch all by myself. I'm an overachiever, hard worker. I'm not a 9-to-5er, and I don't take sick days. I don't always have all of the solutions, but I always want to have a seat at the table, the front of the table. On every committee I've ever been a part of, as you know, 10% does 90% of the work. I've always been a part of the 10%. So again, I may not have all the solutions, I may not have all the ideas, but I'm excited to get up there, have a seat at the table, and find the best solutions for Sarasota County. I'm not afraid to ask, so when we're working on our budgets, I am going to make sure we get every penny possible coming back to Sarasota County, because This is my community, this is my home, and I want to do everything to make it keep moving forward and make it the best community that it can be. I have left all of my materials on the table. My cell phone is on my business card. Feel free to reach out to me and share what's important to you. But thank you for your time today. I know it's your lunch hour. Thank you for spending it with us and learning more about us.
I want to fight for working class families who are struggling and try and get them what they need to survive in this state. And I have a website, electryanneal.com. My business cards are at the table as well. And I want to be able to be there for everybody and hear what they have to say and take it to Tallahassee so Tallahassee knows what the people of Sarasota need from their government.
Well, let's say thanks to these folks for doing it. You having the courage to throw your hat in the ring, sit up here and take these questions and save time away from your family to do this. And
We're working on Danny next and Fiona next. It's probably gonna be the week before the candidate, chamber event.
Okay.
We're working on their schedules. See, we have to have both of them in the same room. Okay? And we have Brad Baker came in late as a hospital board, member and candidate.
He's gonna train Tracy up, but,
Yeah.
So, again, thank you all. Please bring a friend next time. This is a huge election coming up in August and November, and have a great weekend. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming, Jerry.